I would like to raise two issues today. Why public participation is valuable for our societies, and how could ombudsman offices and other future generation organizations help that public participation would be more effective through historical tools of persons, offices and other similar bodies through legislative advocacy and complaint handling. We see the symptoms, the ecological, four times larger ecological footprint, or accessing the planetary boundaries. And political scientists say that behind these symptoms there are serious structural problems of the post-industrial state. The legitimacy crisis they speak about is the faulty, not proper representation and not less solidarity and less long-term decisions, and also their position is weakened in the globalized information age. And that's the situation where Dennis Meadows and other system scientists say that even it's not elegant in social scientists, in the field of social sciences, but we have to experiment. And I think one of the, as Janis said, governance. One of the most important governance experiment in the last couple of decades is public participation. If at the legal exam 30 years ago I would have told to my professor that in an administrative case someone else could take place than the authority and the directly interested persons, I would have failed. I had failed for sure. So that's a new governance invention, and they might have local communities through the legal tools of public participation might have new solutions and more effective solutions. They are motivated, and the local community mechanisms, their decision-making, micro-decision-making mechanisms are more closer to the rules and procedures of the information age and the age of networking. So they can tackle better environmental conflict situations than administrative bodies in many cases. However, naturally they have weak, public participation has weak sides as well. Local communities frequently said to be biased, and for sure they are not rich in resources and legal support. And that's how the future generation organizations come to the picture. Actually, they have to see the system of public participation, and I will just jump this. This is just an introductory slide. The essence is the following one. Fortunately, it can be read. The system of public participation rests on three pillars: information, participation, and justice. And they have their fine structure as well. I think it is mostly familiar for all of us, and we can see the same structure from the angle of the future generation organizations. Actually, I happen to have printed some of these for the workshops following this panel. And we see that, future generation environmental sustainable development bodies have certain roles, key roles in maintaining the coherence of this public participation system, because administrative bodies kind of instinctively attack it here and there, because their professional conviction, actually information is a power. Therefore, administrative bodies tend to hide or withhold information. FGOs should support quick and cheap solutions. The technical conditions are given, and we very frequently see that even if so, they try to raise artificial barriers to access to information. They use the exemptions as in an abused way. We should, especially business secret, we should prevent that. And the active form of, because the first is passive form upon request, the active form of information, environmental information dissemination, we see that our environmental databases are fragmented. They are not coherent. They don't give to the public and the decision makers, the politicians, either a coherent picture about the environmental status of our countries and regions. So at that point, the future generation organizations should have a major role in structuring and interpreting environmental information. Also, in the second pillar, naturally, in participation in legislation, in plans, policies, programs, and in individual cases, our role could be different. I think we don't have time to delve into details. And access to justice, in the Aarhus Convention text, ombudspersons are mentioned as a tool of access to justice. However, very few future generation organizations can perform that, and that's not bad. Because if you are a legal remedy source, that means you are part of the system. And the future generation organizations should be rather independent. And the last topic is support the local communities through individual cases. All the future generation organizations handle complaints, and these complaints empower local communities. Even the possibility that they can turn against the most powerful, the more powerful economic and political and social forces to an independent body, it's a great thing. Again, in the Aarhus Convention, we see, these are the paragraphs in the convention, we see a rich system of capacity building, which is frequently said as a third plus one pillar of public participation and environmental democracy. So you see the general and individual support with information, organizational, procedural help, and prohibition of capacity destroying, and also we can translate it into the tasks of the ombudspersons and similar future generation bodies, but I don't have enough time here. Probably in the workshop we will enter into the details. And my final note is that while the future generation organizations should support public participation because it's a vital element of good governance and environmental protection in our state systems, but that's a two-sided issue. The public and the local communities and the NGOs support your work as well. They bring the important cases. They form independent coalitions and carry you independent analyses, which are very precious resources for a future generation organization. Thank you for your attention.